I've always been skeptical, a person who found comfort in the rational, yet even I have witnessed things that defy logic, things that linger in the mind, shadowy and unresolved. Let me tell you a story from my past, something true, dark, and scarcely known. It began in 2006 when I moved to a quiet, somewhat isolated town called Mammoth Lakes in California. It was a place famous for its scenic beauty, nestled amidst dense forests and imposing mountains. But beneath that serene surface lay something dark, something that locals spoke of only in hushed whispers. My fascination with local history led me to explore the lesser-known stories. One such tale caught my attention immediately, about an abandoned mining village called Bodie, not far from Mammoth Lakes. Bodie was once a bustling gold mining town, thriving in the late 1800s. But as the mines dried up, the town was abandoned swiftly, left to rot and rust under the merciless California sun. Locals insisted it was cursed, haunted by those who had died violently in its lawless streets. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to visit Bodie late one afternoon in autumn, a time when tourists were few. The drive was long, winding through lonely hills and fields of dry grass, swaying ominously in the chilly wind. When I finally arrived, the sun was setting, casting long shadows over the decrepit wooden buildings. As I wandered through the ghost town, an eerie silence enveloped me. Every footstep echoed, seeming intrusive in this forgotten place. Many buildings stood as if their inhabitants had left moments ago. Dust-covered furniture, dishes left on tables, personal belongings scattered around. Yet, beneath the dust, lay an unsettling atmosphere, as if Bodhi were frozen not in history, but in grief and darkness. I reached an old saloon, its doors barely hanging on their rusted hinges. Entering cautiously, I was startled by the creak of old wood beneath my feet. Inside, everything was as if poised for patrons who would never come. A broken piano stood silently, its keys cracked and discolored. A mirror behind the bar was covered with a thick film of dust, but for an instant, I swore I saw a shadow pass swiftly behind me in its reflection. My heart began pounding, my skepticism challenged. I spun around. Nothing was there. I laughed nervously, attributing it to nerves and twilight playing tricks. However, the creeping sensation that I wasn't alone persisted. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, I pushed further into the building. In one corner, hidden partially by fallen timbers, was a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. My flashlight pierced the gloom only briefly, illuminating uneven stone steps, descending into what I assumed was a cellar. I hesitated, knowing logically it was risky, but my curiosity won out. Carefully descending, I felt the temperature drop sharply, as if stepping into winter. The cellar was small, cluttered with remnants of broken bottles and wooden crates. On one wall, there was graffiti carved into the wood, names and dates from the early 1900s. But what caught my attention was something different. Scratches, frantic and jagged, as if made by desperate hands. Suddenly, from upstairs came a faint noise. Footsteps. Clear, deliberate footsteps. I froze, my pulse quickening, my breath shallow. "Hello?" I called hesitantly, hoping for an echo, a reassurance that I was alone. No response. Silence thickened, oppressive, heavy. Then a door slammed violently above, sending a shockwave of fear through me. Panicked, I hurried back up the stairs, nearly tripping in my rush. The saloon was empty, the doors swinging slightly as if mocking me. Outside, twilight had given way to full darkness. The entire town seemed to close around me, menacingly. Shadows moved strangely in the corners of my eyes, and the air felt thick with unseen presence. As I rushed back to my car, I saw lights flicker briefly in the windows of the houses around me, although electricity had long been disconnected. Was this my imagination, or something genuinely otherworldly? Something trapped in Bodie? Driving back, my hands trembled on the wheel. Logic struggled against fear, against the unexplained. Later, digging deeper into Bodie's past, I uncovered chilling accounts of violent deaths, gunfights, murders, and mysterious disappearances. Stories of miners trapped underground, their last moments marked by desperate scratches, similar to those I'd found. I never returned to Bodie. The town remains there, preserved as a ghostly monument. But now I know, skepticism aside, that some places hold dark secrets, memories so intense that they refuse to rest. They linger, whispering in the twilight, waiting, perhaps, for someone else to hear their story, their warning. And sometimes, on quiet nights, even here, miles away in Mammoth Lakes, I still hear footsteps. Footsteps that remind me some truths are more terrifying than fiction.